Hey, good Thursday morning to you. I've got quite a lengthy passage I want to share with you today. It comes out of Daniel chapter 5. Important for us today, I think, to consider. I won't read the whole passage to you. You'll know the gist of it when we finished. It begins in verse 13. It says, "Then Daniel was brought in before the king. The king spoke and said to Daniel, 'Are you that Daniel who is one of the captives from Judah, whom my father the king brought from Judah? I've heard of you, that the Spirit of God is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom are found in you. Now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read this writing and make known to me its interpretation. But they could not give the interpretation of the thing. And I heard of you, that you can give interpretations and explain ignorance. Now if you can read the writing and make known to me its interpretation, you shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold around your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom.' And then Daniel answered and said before the king, 'Let your gifts be to yourself, and give your rewards to another. Yet I will read the writing to the king, and make known to him the interpretation. O king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. And because of the majesty they gave him, all peoples and nations and languages trembled and feared before him. Whomever he wished he executed, whomever he wished he kept alive, whomever he wished he set up, and whomever he wished he put down. But when his heart was lifted up and his spirit was hardened in his pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. Then he was driven from the sons of men, his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and appoints over it whomever he chooses. But you, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this.'" Well, if you know the story, sure enough, Nebuchadnezzar, when he was king, got lifted up. God deposed him, had him be as an animal for a season. When he came into his right mind, he praised the God of heaven. He lived his life, he died his death. His son Belshazzar became king. Belshazzar became great in the eyes of men. Had a great party, had the gold and silver brought from the temple, and was toasting all the gods of gold and the gods of silver and all those things. And there was a writing on the wall. A hand appeared and had a writing on the wall. And it scared him, and he became weak, and he said he was worried. And so they bring Daniel before him, the one whom the Spirit of the Most High God was in. I shared with you the conversation. Daniel says, "Your father didn't honor God, and you know what happened to him. He humbled him, and now he put you in as king, and you've done the same thing, even though you knew what God had to do to your father." So the story goes on. He says, "You keep your gold, your silver." I'll tell you what God says. Let me remind you today, as you live, tell people what God says and let them keep their money. Don't do it for gain. Don't do it for fame. Do it because God calls us to be that light in this world of darkness, just as he had Daniel to be a light in the world of darkness then. This is the fingers on the hands of the wall, said, "Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin." You've been weighed in the balance and found wanting. That very night he dies, the king does. Friends, I want you to know that we're living in a society right now that God has humbled us before. He has humbled us as a people, that we would honor him, and I believe he's about to do it again. We are allowed to live in the greatest nation that mankind has known. We have the power, we have the equipment, we have all the resources. God has greatly blessed us, and yet we are not being the witnesses to the world that we ought to be. I believe God's going to humble us, the church, that we'd go back to being the witnesses that we ought to be, that we honor him. I pray that it will start with us today, that we will understand it, and we won't have to see the handwriting on the wall, that we will honor him of a free will and a free heart. So this day, I pray that you'll be a witness to those around you, that you'll be a witness of the God of heaven, that you remind people that they are loved, that God cares. As always, at Westview, we're here for you. I remind you today is the day for the food pantry, 10 to 2, trying to feed the hungry in our neighborhood, and so you come be a part and help. Thank you for supporting that. You have a great day, and God bless.